Hello, Pet World, and welcome to another edition of Natural Pets TV. I'm Robert Semro, and I am joined by two experts in the natural pet health arena. That's right, Heidi Nevela and Greg Tilford. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, liver, digestive, and systemic toxicity are issues that affect every being, but when you get to it, it all starts with the liver. Describe the role of the liver.
The role of the liver, there's many roles of the liver, and fortunately it's a very resilient organ because it does so many things and it's under so much assault all the time. It's responsible basically for filtering blood and filtering waste out of the blood. That's one of the most important issues and one of the biggest deficiencies we see in today's world. With all the toxins we breathe, all of the residues on our food, stress, everything affects, metabolism and such. It creates enzymes, it builds blood, it does a lot of different things, and it's a very large organ. It has the ability of reproducing its own cells very quickly if given the opportunity and the right foods and the right herbs.
So some of the basic things we can do to support daily liver support is to make sure we start with diet. We keep talking about that, it's in every episode, but it's so important to make sure that the quality nutrition's there. And then also toxin avoidance. And we can do that by the right foods, filtered water, making sure our home environments are as free as possible from toxins. Also, any place really that our pet travels interact with, including outdoors. And giving it the nutritional tools it needs because it's a purification unit of the body. It performs almost a thankless job. And it's, like you said, under constant assault. It needs antioxidants and those other additives to keep it performing at optimal function.
Right, and there's a lot of positive influences. I mean, in the daily health care of animals, for instance, drugs, pharmaceutical devices and such are usually, a lot of them get into the body and are metabolized at liver level, through the liver, and that has an impact upon the liver too. Almost everything that I recommend, working with the vets I work with and such, I start by saying, how well is the liver supported? Because if the liver's not working at its optimum, then the system's probably full of waste. And the immune system's encumbered with stuff it shouldn't need to be encumbered with, floating around in the system that should be leaving the body via the liver. So it really is, it's in the center of the body and it's the core of attention to a tonic herbalist like myself, somebody that looks at the whole body and strengthening the functions of all the surrounding organs.
And it does have two different phases that it has to operate at. It's the everyday clarifying, toning, and purifying, but then when you're talking about adding in tonic, sometimes when we get to that phase, we're addressing a problem that's already underway, because then we have to support the liver more systematically by adding in something to re-engage the balance that it's lost.
Absolutely.
And tonic herbs are really good for that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's because there's two different levels to supporting the liver, whether it's just everyday maintenance or we're getting into the need to maybe like some kind of intervention. I like to go to artichoke. It's a very similar one that you use, like milk thistle, for just the daily maintenance. It circulates the blood, oxygenates the blood. It increases urination. It's got a toning effect, the tonic or the adaptogenic aspect that we're talking about a lot, and it also brings in the liver, the kidney, that digestive and immune support that has to be addressed to make sure it's running at the right levels.
Yeah, and fresh artichoke hearts or something, you steam artichokes, and you can share that with your dog or your cat. It mashes up very easily in the food, and it's a good daily liver support food. It's a food and a tonic. If you're growing artichokes, save the leaves, and you can dry them and make medicine out of them. You can tincture them, you can make tea out of them, you can grind them up and put them into the food. They are very liver supportive. And all of the thistles are, and milk thistle is probably the most famous liver herb. It's one of the most popular herbs in commerce, but it's also, I think, one of the most misused because a lot of people look at it as the panacea of herbal remedies for the liver, but the truth is it has a very specific purpose. It does stimulate liver function, so to speak, but not dramatically in the sense that it improves the filtering mechanisms of the liver and the enzyme production of the liver. What it does, and the reason we know so much about milk thistle, it's very well studied, it's very well researched. It all comes from Amanita mushroom poisoning, and the anecdotal evidence that said that Aboriginal peoples used it as an antidote to poisoned mushrooms. And what they found is that, unbeknownst to many, poisoned mushrooms don't kill you immediately. They insidiously, over the course of 2 or 3 days, start destroying liver cells until your liver fails. And basically what the silymarin constituents of that herb does is it creates a protective barrier so the liver cells are less pervious to those toxins, and at the same time it stimulates reproduction of those liver cells, so it's building healthy liver at the same time. I always utilize that with another herb that stimulates overall liver function though. So we get stuff moving through the liver as well as the liver protective and regenerative properties. And my favorite for that is dandelion root.
I like to recommend that one too. When you're talking about the toxin avoidance or just the toxin issue, when we're past that point and we're needing to get into a little bit stronger effect on the liver, we use agrosejo, which is similar to barberry, and we also use chuncapiedra. That's another one, and annatto. And they're deeper. They're more effects of rehabilitation, liver cell regeneration. It does everything else, but it's also more encompassing where it starts affecting the other body systems that are impacting the liver that are failing when it's to the state of the liver can no longer get rid of the toxins, the nutrients are depleted, the body reserves are tapped. It needs an extra boost. So those are really good tonic herbs that do a little more when it's needed.
And also on a daily note, I spent 11 years living on the side of a mountain, watching animals in nature and watching the interaction between plants. And what I often observed were animals that would stop at plants that they normally don't forage upon, stuff like knapweed and really bitter herbs. And they'd stop and they'd eat maybe 2 or 3 little flower buds or a couple leaves here and there. And then they'd move on to the rest of what they eat, the grasses and the forage that they really like. And what they're doing in this behavior is they're stimulating salivary production, and they're stimulating enzyme release at liver level before they begin to eat. That's, for herbalists, we call that the bitter tonic approach. So if you take something bitter on your tongue, which is really the premise of eating a salad, in Europe, many of the places where you'll order a salad, it will have radicchio and endive and all these bitter greens, and whether people know it or not, what they're doing is they're stimulating digestion and helping the liver by stimulating digestion before the food even goes in. So it's a proactive approach towards supporting the whole waste elimination and digestion.
Food for life. Everything has a role and a purpose, and that's what we can do too with herbs in addition to diet.
Well, as you can see, the liver is extremely important to that overall health basis that we not only need to maintain, but we need to, at different times, be adding extra support as well. Folks, thanks for joining us here on Natural Pets TV.
Financial and other considerations have been provided by Animal Essentials, Natura Pets Organics, the National Animal Supplement Council, and the Well Dog Place.
Hey, pet parents, thanks for joining us. I got to say, we are covering a lot of great topics, but I want to hear from all of you. What things do you want our experts to be talking about, educating, and sharing with you? Put that in the comments section down below. In the meantime, if you want more information about my good friend Greg Tilford, you can get that at theanimalherbalist.com or at animalessentials.com, or from my other good friend Heidi Nevela, visit naturapetswithaz.com. And as always, you can find us at petworldinsider.com.